Hey, everybody, come on in. Come on in. We see you out there. There's coffee in the back. We were just talking coffee right before I hit the live button.
Hot coffee.
Hot coffee. Extra hot coffee.
Yeah.
Too hot
I think I mentioned cold brew, but that didn't go over too well.
$2 million cup of coffee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have a better chance. You have a better chance suing McDonald's for $2 million than you do winning at $2 million from them to do that Monopoly game. Might as well.
Oh yeah. Right there. Mike Jimmy asks, will the infinite cup of coffee be back? Who knows? The infinite cup of coffee is usually saved for the breakfast buzz, Mike Jimmy. So that's Thursday morning. This last time I looked was Sunday morning, and this is another episode of the Sunday Funnies for May 23rd, 2021, and we appreciate everybody watching, especially since we tried to break your habit last week. We didn't have a show. So, but we do appreciate you listening today. Come on in, hit that like button if you're watching us on YouTube or Facebook so that you can help please the algorithms. We are going to run, as you can see, we've already got a full house. We've got a few more coming in, and I'm going to hit the opening, and we will start with the introductions. William Pace says it's about time you guys got back to work. All right, William. Dave at least says, all right, me babbers.
This is work.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been working this morning. I don't know about you guys. Well, you were asleep this morning, weren't you?
Yeah.
I've already put up a 600-word Facebook post.
Yeah, well, yeah. I've just been coloring 2 pages. So
about how I got ripped a new one by Darwin Cook.
Oh, that might be a story we'll have to get into. Hang on, everybody. Here's the opening. And again, welcome everybody to another episode of Sunday Funnies. Oh, there's Google Chrome telling me that we are actually live. Good to know. Deeply appreciate everybody here. We're going to add Russ to the stream, so we're in even 6. Good morning, Russ. How are you? We're just getting started, Russ, so it's okay. I'm your host, Randy Zimmerman. I am a longtime alternative and independent comics producer, publisher, distributor, retailer, maker, all sorts of stuff. Done everything in this market that you can imagine, except maybe cosplay. For many, many, many years, I've put conventions together. I've created my own newspaper. Well, I could be Volstagg. Come on. There we go.
That'd be great.
That'd be my number one choice for cosplay. That, or I've had people ask me to be Santa a couple times, and it's like,
I've done that one.
Yeah. But right now I am reconstructing and bringing back Arrow Comics 4.0, where we plan on having products available monthly for the direct market beginning in August this year. And we are busily working on things and working very hard to get stuff together and out there. So you'll see a lot more promotion on that if you go over to our Facebook page or look at our Linktree link. And I've got Instagram now and a Twitter specifically for Arrow Comics 4.0, and just go up and look for us online and you'll find us. So we're all over the place, and you'll see a lot more work from Arrow Comics here in the near future. There are a lot of great books coming up, and I'll be real happy to bring those to you. Also today is I don't even think we could call him a co-host as much as a regular host, the owner and proprietor of this lovely platform, Mr. Varian Grant. Varian, introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, Randy said it. I'm the owner, founder of Indie Volt Media LLC. I started making comics myself in 2008. I was I'm a comic artist, creator, publisher. distributor with Liberty Entertainment Distribution Group. So I'm just following like everything Randy does. I'll just do it. And I do cosplay as a responsible adult. That's what I pretend to be.
Boom.
She goes that girl.
Yeah. I try to cosplay as a responsible adult. People keep falling for it too. It's awesome. That's it.
Morning,
Trish. This is
Trish.
going to be good.
Good morning, Trish.
Mike Jimmy wants to know, Varian, did you have your coffee yet? You sound like you're still asleep.
No, I'm gonna have this energy drink right here. There we go. That's stuff.
Now I'm gonna save our first timers for last so that they can properly introduce themselves. But also joining us this morning are two, should we say, semi-regulars to the broadcast?
Yeah.
Beginning with Mr. Glenn Fleming. Glenn, introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. My name's Glenn Fleming. I'm an English writer, artist, and publisher. I've written and published books on many different subjects: JFK assassination, science fiction, soccer, children's books, NASA. I wrote an account of my father's experience on D-Day as a paratrooper. And I've also written a 220-page, fully illustrated book on my trip, about my trip to Easter Island. Hatch, my cartoon character, has just been reprinted. He's on Amazon. Number 2, I'm working on now. Issue 2, I'm working on now. A decade ago, I published a magazine called Crikey, the Great British Comics Magazine. And now I publish Comics Unlimited, which is a 100-page bi-monthly magazine about comics worldwide. Issue 6 is just out now. And you can check all those things on Amazon.
Wow, very well-rounded.
Yeah, well.
Oh, yeah. We love having Glenn on because anytime we get off topic, which is really often, he'll have a story.
I've not told you the Marilyn Monroe story yet, Randy.
Your what? No, you haven't.
The Marilyn Monroe story. Yeah.
No, you haven't. But like we were joking around about being on Mount Everest one time, and Glenn ended up sending a picture of him from the summit.
Well,
so you never know.
I've been a few places. Done a few
things. Yeah.
But I really want to go to Antarctica. I've not been there.
Ah, cool.
If I could go anywhere tomorrow, it would be Antarctica.
If you want to prepare for Antarctica, visit my home. Yeah. Especially how cold my wife keeps the bedroom. It'll prepare you for the temperatures.
Right. Too much information, that very
ridiculously cold in there. Ridiculously cold.
No, he meant the temperature of the room, not the
temperature. Sorry.
No. Not the temperature of the bed. No, okay. The room is freezing.
Right. And we do want to remind our viewers and listeners today that we are TVMA DLSV. You might hear language that younger children might not want to hear, so you might want to escort them out of the room or away from earshot or whatever. But we're very glad that everyone is here, especially on Indie Volt Radio all over the world. So I want to say particularly a hello to Raja. If he's out there watching, I had a long discussion with him. Not long, a quick discussion on Facebook yesterday. He's a storyboard artist from India. So hello, Raja. How you doing, buddy? And we're also joined from Great Britain by Mr. Russ Leach.
Hello. Yes. While Glenn writes about assassinations, I can neither deny or confirm any rumours about my association with said activities. But what you can find when I'm not shouting at cars, you can find me as Comic Book Black Belt on YouTube, where you can find out about my work. I've been a comic book artist on things like Ben 10 and Doctor Who. I've worked a little bit for Marvel as well, and currently I'm creating my own books, which are being redistributed by Arrow Comics later on in the year. So you can find more about me at russleach.com, comicbookblackbelt.com, or at onlydeathcansavus.com. And the book is still in demand if you want to grab yourself a VIP version of it. It's not going to be in demand for long.
Because come August, boom, it turns into an Arrow comic available for direct distribution. So cool. We don't want to leave the retailers out. They're having a hard enough time trying to find quality product as it is. And folks, believe me, this is quality product. So you need to go over there and take a look. So also the first time ever on our program, we have Mr. Charles Santino. I should
Good
be
morning.
pointing that way.
Yes.
Charles, introduce yourself.
Yeah. Well, I started out writing a thief in a mythical past, Conan, and now I'm writing about a thief in a make-believe future. And if you can't figure out by my screenshot there what I'm promoting, then you must not have the camera on. Character's name is Rammer, spelled a little oddly, and there's a story behind that, but it is pronounced Rammer. It's being published by Marcosia, UK, digitally, and I'm crowdfunding a print version by permission of Harry Marcos, who's a wonderful man. And I told him when I wanted to do a print version, I said, I'll give you a reverse royalty on anything I sell. He said, no. Just keep what you make. It's great promotion for the digital, and eventually there'll be a collection. And in 35 years, I think Harry is probably the best relationship I've ever had with a publisher.
Cool.
I might jump in there and say, I know Harry, and he is great. He is a great guy, and he's all about comics. He's all about the books.
Yeah, never met him personally, spoken to him on the phone when we first got started. This is actually my third project with him, and I found out that he gets about 100 submissions a month. Yeah, and picks one, and the fact that he's picked, I'm 3 for 3 with him. That's even more pleasing now that I know what I'm up against.
He can spot quality.
Thank you.
That's Rammer, Rammur, available on Indiegogo, Master Thief, and a Future Police State. We'll cover that a little bit more here in a minute. But we also want to introduce Barbara Kaalberg. Barbara.
Hey there. Yourself. Yeah, I've been on here once before. Last time I did Divinity.
Forgot.
Mm-hmm. Yep. My name's Barbara Kaalberg, and I have been in the industry for 30 plus years. Started out in 1989 working for Malibu Comics, Planet of the Apes. Did about 11 issues of that, and it kind of grew from there. I've worked for just about everybody under the sun. Spent about a decade with DC. I've worked for Marvel, Innovation, now Warp Graphics. And about 2-3 years ago, when I hit 60, I decided I had better stretch my wings, push the envelope, so to speak, if I was ever going to do anything more than just ink. So I created my own book. I'd been working for Silverline Comics 3.0 right from the get-go. I'm also the chief financial officer for Silverline, and I'd been inking cat and mouse for them. So I jumped into the deep end, created my own book called Divinity. I learned coloring. That's not my coloring. I started issue 2. I started coloring as well, which I've never done in 30 plus years. So I'm now coloring, writing, inking my own book. I have help scripting it by R.A. Jones because while I know the story, I'm not an expert scripter. So I needed help on that end, and he does a fantastic job. I was very, very honored that Divinity won Best New Series of 2020 from the Independent Comics Awards. And it is currently kickstarting. We fully funded in 3 days, but it's going through the end of the month, and we're now into these stretch goals, which we've got some fantastic stretch goals coming up, including some digital novels from RA, and the other group that's kickstarting with me, which is Steam Patriots. Silverline has got so many books in the pipeline that we can no longer kickstart one book at a time because we'd be kickstarting every 3 weeks. So we do double Kickstarters where we're promoting 2 books at a time. And the other book that is kickstarting with us is called Steam Patriots. It's about a steampunk in the Revolutionary War. It's the beginning of the steampunk era. And if you like history, boy, that one's going to be a good one for you. And
I believe it's Steve. That's working on that. We should have
Scott Wakefield.
Scott.
Wakefield, yeah.
and we should have Scott on next week to talk about
Yes.
that.
And I'll get into a little bit more about the story behind Divinity as we go along here. But I've done about over 200 books in the industry for just about everybody you want to point your finger at. But I think, and I've worked a long time for people like DC and Marvel, I think indie comics is the future of comics. I strongly believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
I think you've got universal agreement across the panel there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
We're all nodding our heads.
Well, yeah. The thing is, when you're doing your own books and you're indie, you don't have a corporate group overseeing what you're doing.
Of course,
You can't. Yeah, you don't have somebody holding the purse strings for you and saying, you know what, this doesn't meet our brand standards, or I don't want to annoy or offend any certain person, so we have to keep this as bland as possible.
Yeah.
You know, or well, we've been doing this comic for 40 years, so if we have 10 issues that are a complete dud, nobody's going to care because they'll just write it out and still pick up the next storyline, which is Avengers right now. It's on my pull list, and I like the storyline that they had prior, but the storyline that they've got now absolutely sucks. and they're right. I'll hang out and keep purchasing it until the next storyline morphs into the next storyline because I like the Avengers. But I got to thinking, they've got you on the hook, and they can afford to have 10 dud issues.
Yeah.
They can't.
They don't care, do they?
We have 10 dud issues. We're out. You know, we're done.
Doesn't take 10.
Yeah, it's probably closer to 3 at most.
Yeah.
Who is your penciler on that book?
Which one?
The one you just showed.
Divinity.
Oh,
Yeah.
Divinity. Alex Sarabia. He was, and there's a story behind that one as well. When I first said to Roland that I wanted to do my own book, and I've been an inker for 30 years, so I'm sure that when I said I want to write my own book, he was like, okay, we'll humor her, but he says no. But he had RA help me, so that was a lot. That was. But
Are you giving him a full script?
I am giving him an outline and the basically I can write. I just don't know how to script. So I can write the story and then he'll take it and he'll put it into a comic book format. Aside from the line art being very nice, there's great visual storytelling. I mean, you can tell what's going on just by looking at it, even without reading it. And there's not a lot of comics doing that today. And I also wanted a clean, crisp style. I mean, I've done the Image style. I can do any style out there. I'm very versatile. But this was not a superhero book. I didn't want it to look like a superhero book. I wanted it to be crisp, clean, classic storytelling. And once I got the approval from Roland that, yep, go ahead and do a book. He goes, now you go out and find a pencil. And I'm like, God, okay. This is, who's going to work and get paid on the back end? Not a lot of pencilers will do that these days. So first of all, I spent about a week in DeviantArt. I took a deep dive and wow, what a cesspool. I emerged. I thought, what have I been doing? I just lost a week of my life. And about that time, I got friended on Facebook by this guy named Alex Sarabia from Mexico, and he private messaged me. He said, I've always been a huge fan of yours, and it's one of my dreams someday to work with you. I'm like, okay, I get that, from several people. But I flipped over to his Facebook page. I'm like, holy shit. And so I private messaged him back. I said, how about right now? And that's how I rounded up a penciler. It was just fell in my lap. And
Happens
he's,
that way.
That's half the battle
does.
is finding the right artist. It's kind of like casting, casting a movie, finding the right artist, and
Yep.
you don't find the right one, and you move ahead, and you got a real problem. You find the right one, and you move ahead, and things click.
Yes.
now the first issue, Steve Mattson, I don't know if you remember him from back in the DC days. He did Boris the Bear. He was the colorist for Boris the Bear. He colored the first issue, but he had to bow out. So, and I had just kind of decided to stretch my wings in the coloring department. So issue 2, I took over the coloring on that. So from going forward, I'll be coloring it, inking it, writing it. And then I have a letterer and a penciler. So kind of a jack of all trades too, stretching my wings. And I'm having the time of my life. I mean, I'm 62. So I figured if I'm going to, do all this stuff, it has to be now. And I have to tell you, I'm retired from the Muggle world. So I just jumped back into comics with both feet, and I am having a blast.
You might be the youngest person in the chat this morning.
Well, I think
I like that because I'm usually the oldest person in the chat.
not counting Varian.
Yeah, I don't.
And we can't see him, so we tend to forget about it.
Yeah.
Varian's a wee baby.
Yeah, I'm virtually old. I'm saying, kids.
Yeah, see, I'm virtually young. I feel like I'm 20 half the time.
I did like the fact that you mentioned finding an artist that works on the. There are some people who, some artists don't want to do it because they feel like, oh, I'll get screwed over. But it helps because the gentleman who contacted you, he knows your history in the business. He knows that you're gonna act, because there are some people who you didn't have to go to him and sell him on how who you were. He already knew, because there are people who go out there and be like, oh, don't you know who I am? I'm this great leader of the indie comics movement. Draw for me for free.
Yes.
And then you never see a dime.
But was that the whole book or just some sample pages for the Kickstarter that he did?
That was the first issue.
Yeah. Sorry.
This is the second issue that we're looking at now that's currently kickstarting. If you want to scroll down a little bit, you can see some pages from the current issue. That's my award, my indie award. A little bit further. There. Oh. If you go back up there a little bit, that cover right there, that's my coloring now.
Cool.
Yeah, I taught myself. I didn't know a thing about digital coloring. I'm having a blast with that. I mean, I was one of those elitist snobs, for like 30 years. I'm like, oh, if I can't do it real paper, then it's not art. I changed my tune so fast. Because not only am I 3 times faster on inking, but I get to learn coloring, and that has just been so fun. There was a Mel Ruby cover right there. The orange one, I just colored it. He did all the work on that. It's also very, very nice that I have a 30-year history in the industry, and I can tap somebody like Mel. It's like, hey, would you be willing to do a cover for me? I'm like, sure. That's been nice too. Jeff Johnson did a cover. I got a pinup from Ken Hooper. I've got several people that have been happy to contribute. So that's been very nice. Anyway, somebody else talk.
Oh, yeah, we're looking at this campaign though. So you're stuck with us for a minute longer.
Okay.
This is now you said the cool thing about the Silverline books, and Randy will tell you sometimes I'm like, oh, not again. I blame Randy. You guys will do the flip books.
Right. That's because we have so many books in the pipeline. We can't. And our ultimate goal is to get into regular distribution, and we're getting very, very, very close to that. But right now, we don't have anything in Diamond. And the only way we can get out all the books that we got, and there's a ton, I lost count, is to do a double feature every time we kickstart. And we're going to have to pick up our kickstarting schedule because we just have so many. We've got a couple of dozen books that are in progress. Silverline is, I mean, when we jumped in, we really, really jumped in. And the good thing about the Silverline Kickstarters is all of the books are finished. We are not doing anything on spec. We're not saying, you give us the money and we'll get started. So all of our books are finished prior to kickstarting. All you're doing is just buying it. And all that means is that we send it to the printer, and less than a month later, we're already shipping. They're Steam Patriots. And these two covers here are both done by Dean Zachary, another old penciler that I used to work with in the Malibu days. He did a cover for both Divinity and Steam Patriots. He's got a great style. And like I said before, anybody who likes history is going to love Steam Patriots. I'm very excited for it because I am such a history buff. And the whole premise of the Steam Patriots book is that everybody knows steampunk, and that's very Victorian area, but it had to start somewhere. So they're theorizing that steampunk was in its infancy during the Revolutionary War, and very, very raw and untried. So things blow up, the boilers blow up. They're very smoky. They're very rough, but it's in its infancy, and it was around during the Revolutionary War. And you're going to see like real history. Ben Franklin is very much featured as one of the driving forces behind the steam revolution. So I'm very much looking forward to that book as well. I think we have two really, really awesome products here between Divinity and Steam Patriots.
A and B covers.
Yep. We have Kickstarter only covers. We have retailer only covers.
I love this this Divinity cover.
That was
very iconic to the character, I think.
Thank you. That was actually penciled by Jeff Johnson. I worked with him back in the Malibu days as well. We did Solitaire, all the issues of Solitaire together.
Okay. Yeah.
And I tapped him and says, "Hey, you want to contribute?" And he was like, "You bet. We haven't worked together in years." And it turned out so awesome. I inked and colored that cover.
I feel better seeing that you're so busy, because I remember I reached out to Barbara. I said, "Hey, Barbara, I got this original piece, and I want to scan it and have it inked, and it's a Mike Grail piece." And Barbara has a lot of history inking Mike's work, and I'm like, could you ink it for me? I'll pay you. And she's like, "I'm really busy. I can't do it." She just wasn't blowing me off. She was really busy.
Yeah. Well, I'm not only writing, coloring, and inking my own book, but I'm also inking Cat and Mouse for Silverline. I'm coloring 2 graphic novels for them, and I'm babysitting my grandkids. So yeah, I need a retirement from my retirement, basically.
I can attest to babysitting grandkids being a full-time job.
Yes, and I'm trying to wrap up my brother's estate too. So that's a whole nother issue. That's time consuming. We're trustees for an ongoing estate, and that's a whole nother story that's behind. That was the start of Divinity, was that whole story. So we'll get into that a little later.
Let's get into Divinity for a second. We can do that now.
Okay, I didn't want to take the time away from all these other wonderful people here.
They're all
we want
patient.
to listen, Barbara. We want to listen to you.
There's only a few wonderful people. We're not all.
I was looking around, actually.
Well, Divinity has got quite the beginning. About 3 years ago, this April, my brother was diagnosed with stage 4 metastatic lung cancer. And, my sister and my brother and I are incredibly tight. We're the 3 Musketeers. And we were devastated, absolutely devastated. And I was frantic, desperate to find anything that would give him a better chance to living. I mean, my sister and I, we were like doing we got to get him on a juice regimen and take away everything that's got processed sugar in it. And I mean, we were really, really into the whole, we're going to cure him thing. And we tried everything. And about a month after his diagnosis, I had this dream. It was a very vivid dream, and divinity was realized in this dream, fully fleshed out, the whole storyline, the characters, who they were, Vinny, Zach, her brother Zach, and Olivia. And I honestly feel that the protagonist, Vinny, was born of my desire to heal my brother. And the antagonists, which is the evil cabal that wanted to get their hands on her. They want to get their hands on her for their own means, was my desperation. I mean, I would have done literally anything to save my brother, and some of the things I was willing to do wasn't very noble. So I have a feeling that my subconscious came up with this evil cabal as my guilt for my desire to do anything, my desperation. So the whole story came about, and I mean, you've got to think about what would you do if you knew somebody who had a healing power. I mean, if the word ever got out, you wouldn't be able to step out your front door. You'd be besieged by mobs of people going, "Help me, help me, help me," or people wanting to purchase your services or study you, or the religious fanatics who would either say you were the second coming or that you were the devil. Their pharmaceutical companies wouldn't be very happy with you. Dictators would want to get their hands on you. It's just an endless possibility of stories. So what it evolved into then was that we have our overarching villain, the evil cabal that are constantly after them. Their parents mysteriously die. Zach is recalled from the Marines because he's the only living relative. So he's given a hardship discharge and has to come back and care for his 11-year-old sister. He's 26, she's 11. They really don't know each other. He's never cared for a kid. He's a Marine. So they don't get off on a very good footing to start with. She's mourning. She's 11. She's a tweener. He's a Marine. He wants to say, "You jump," and she'll say, "How high?" And that's never going to happen because she's 11. And she's going to say, "I hate you," and stomp off. And he's going to say, "All right, now what?" He's totally lost. He would rather be in Afghanistan fighting the insurgents than having an 11-year-old girl to take care of. But they end up going on the run. And then the first issue, as you can see, that's the end of the first issue. He finds out about her healing power. And there are no superheroes in this except for her. I mean, I guess you could call her a superhero. She's the only one with any special powers because the real world has plenty of real life villains that I didn't need to make any up. They end up going on the run, and I foresee this, if it's successful and keeps running, that we will have something along the lines of a good old-fashioned TV, The Fugitive type of thing, where you have the overarching villain, and then they're on a road trip and they meet people along the way, good people, bad people. You'll have subplots of the various storylines as they're traveling, I've gotten a lot of really good reviews. One of the best type of compliments I can get is somebody who will contact me and said, "I bought this and my wife took it and she loves it." I'm like, that's exactly what I want. I want people to buy it, read it, love it, and then people around them, "Oh, what's that?" And they pick it up and they're hooked too. I have got so many people saying that that they've had other people pick it up and then want to know what happens. Maggie Thompson reviewed the first book, and she was like, "This is the type of book that you really, really want to know what happens next. This is fantastic." I have a review from the first issue from Kevin Van Hook, who's the creator of Bloodshot with Vin Diesel. Mm-hmm. And he said, "This is good stuff." So I'm very, very happy with the positive reviews, and I hope that they continue. The second issue is dedicated to the memory of my brother who passed away in December, and the second issue was delayed because I had to take several months off to go down to Iowa and care for him in his last months. So I apologize for the delay, but he was the muse for the book, and I dedicated the second issue to him.
And what kind of frequency are you expecting from here on out for Divinity?
Oh, I'd like to put out a couple of issues a year. A lot of it depends on my penciler. The good thing about grabbing Alex was his art is fantastic. The bad thing about grabbing Alex is that his art is fantastic. And it has brought him to the notice of other people who can pay him up front. So I've got to fit my Divinity in now amongst his growing popularity. But he's dedicated to doing it. So
could you not use other pencilers?
We could. And I have looked at a couple of other pencilers. I would prefer the continuity of the same penciler if I can get it. So if it's not possible for him to fit it into our schedule, I do have a couple other people in mind.
Well, if you're inking it, you might be able to pull it together a bit.
Yeah. Inker and colorist. So yeah.
I like the fact that she wears all the horror icon shirts too.
Yeah, she's a horror fan. Yeah. She likes Tom Holland. She likes skateboarding. She likes horror movies. She's a typical tweener. You know, 1 minute she's a child, the next minute she's an adult.
Yeah.
She has meltdowns.
My 10-year-old was going on. He's going on 27.
Exactly.
And I like what his new thing is, and he gets upset. Like we take away his game system. It's I hate today. It's like already. It's only 1 o'clock. You already hate. Well, then again, Daddy's been there. There's times I woke up, felt my knee popping. I'm like, oh, yep, F today. I'm not getting up. Barbara, I love the fact too that your book came to you in a dream. I had a character come to me from a dream, and I haven't got a chance to tell the story because it just happened yesterday.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, and it involves Russ. I'm dreaming about Russ. This is very bad. But
this isn't good. I don't know where this is going.
Yeah. Well, somehow I had this dream that somehow we had that the Only Death Can Save Us had got the Ninja Turtles treatment. That there were basically 2 versions of it. There was an American version. It was like this. Harry put the book out because there was a cartoon. So Russ was like, "Hey, Varian, you go ahead and write it." And I did. I wrote it, and Eric was supposed to draw. And I think I had that because Eric just drew a picture of Death. So Eric was drawing this comic, and I decided to create a new villain because we're doing a Saturday morning cartoon called the Soul Catcher.
Ooh.
And the Soul Catcher lives on the moon, on the dark side of the moon, which he has. If you look at the dark side of the moon, it looks like a big soul catcher. Well, he was making Death kill people. That was his idea. And he would take their souls up to the moon, which is why the moon glows. And it's the souls. And he's gathering this massive army of souls, which he's going to lead to do his bidding. And Russ calls me and says, "What the fuck are you doing, mate?" This is dreadful. And
You've been listening to Coast too often.
And he's like, "What are you doing? This is dreadful." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "I read the first issue. This is horrible." And he accused me of drinking. He taught me to lay off the alcohol, whatever it is I was doing.
Oh,
and he's like, "I've got for some reason, I've got over 30 issues. You could have read the scripts, but you go create your own character." And it was really bad, but it led me to create another character for my book. So
I'm very glad I could be of help.
Yeah. Even in the dream, it's like, what the F are you doing, mate?
It's strange because most of my ideas come to me when I'm sleeping. I think it's because I'm so busy during the day. I'll cogitate on things and ponder on things like that. And it most of the time it'll come together and it'll gel in a dream while I'm sleeping. I think my subconscious has finally got a chance to relax a little bit and just kind of pick and choose and put things together that I've been thinking about when I'm not so busy during the day. And I've always had very, very, very vivid dreams, and I remember them. And that's the biggest thing.
That's the trick, remembering it. I've got a pencil and paper by the bed, and I wake up and write it down, and then go back to sleep.
I don't dream a lot because I rarely sleep as these guys now. I do 20-hour days regularly. I don't
too busy climbing mountains.
You see, Mike appreciates my genius.
Yes.
Yeah, he appreciates my genius.
I used to do 20-hour days when I was working in the 90s, and I was doing 2 books a month and covers and trading cards.
I don't do it on purpose. I want to go to sleep. I just can't go to sleep.
Yeah, but I am too old for that now, and I don't have to do it. I don't have to do it. Back then, I was doing it because I needed to keep a roof over my head, but that's no longer the case. Now I do comics because I really love them.
I got it. I figured it out. My next character.
Oh boy!
He's a guy who steals. He steals your good dreams. Nobody remembers having a good dream. He steals the purity of your good dreams. He sucks that out of you. Delicious. He needs it to survive.
I got a great one for Disney.
What's that?
Go on.
Oh, his name, because he doesn't like he takes your good dreams. You can't remember your good dreams when you wake up. His name, Dream Leech. He'll be a proper English gentleman. And
I think you could team him up with the IP catcher.
Yeah. Is that the Disney character? IP catcher?
Yeah. They're the IP catcher. Yeah.
We want to say hello to Dave and Trish and everybody. We don't mean to be ignoring the chat this morning. It's just that we're going to be talking amongst ourselves for a lot of it, and we still invite you to be part of the chat, and we'll still post from time to time, but we're not going to be able to post everybody's. Trish and Marv is in the house. Genuine Comics is in the house.
Nina said she's
grateful for your listeners. Sugar is actually here, awake and early. Good morning. Sugar usually pops in the last 10 minutes of everybody's podcast except his own.
And everybody.
Pop Culture Avenger is in the house. Morning. Nina Aberline is in the house. Yes.
You put a very funny comment up.
Did you? I haven't scrolled down to it yet. I'm like halfway through the chat. So everybody's been talking while we've been showing stuff. Empyrean Vols in the house. Thank you, Empyrean. Back. Good morning, Indie Volters. Good morning, Empyrean. Glad you're listening. Pops is in the house. Good morning, Pops. Hope you're doing well. Wish you the best. Scrolling through, everybody saying hello to everybody. Damn, that's epic. Yeah,
it is. I'm a genius. I'm a genius. You want him to sleep?
Where's Nina's? I must have passed it.
It's let me see here.
Pull it up if you can.
Yeah, there it is. All right.
Right there. This is my first time watching Sunday Funnies, but TBH. To be honest, I always thought I'd be you guys in pajamas, eating pancakes and reading jokes off the newspaper.
Oh, well,
one of these days, Nina, I really want to do that for this show. I want to pull up a couple of the great old comic strip guys and or longtime comic strip artists and actually sit here and talk about the actual Sunday Funnies. I think that would be a joy to do, and even in pajamas. Yeah,
that might be a problem.
Yeah.
Well, you never know who's in pajamas.
Randy, if you do that, you want to get Joe Staten on here because he's been drawing Dick Tracy for about 8 years.
I would absolutely love having Joe on. It'd be a lot of fun just to have him on to talk to him about his long career.
Tell him I sent you. He'll do it.
Okay.
Joe? Yeah, I know Joe real well.
Sweet. I'll have to try to get a hold of him. That would be an awesome show.
Everybody will go buy pajamas. I know that. You guys are going to put your real pajamas on. You're going to go buy some.
Varian's always in pajamas anyway.
That's why he's blacked out.
Yeah, that's very true.
My cousin Terry Beatty does Rex Morgan.
Oh yeah. Used to do the Phantom for quite a few years. Yeah.
Yeah, he's my cousin.
Oh, sweet. Now I have an in there.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to see if I can get Terry on as well. That would be great. One of my favorite 80s strips was Miss Tree. It was really real good. Well done. One of those missing gems. We start talking. I've been talking with more and more folks lately about the stuff in the 80s that have just been misplaced that people have forgotten about or you don't hear about much anymore. And there's a whole era there of some really great fine material that is being overlooked, I think.
Terry is a huge fan of the older stuff. Huge fan. His whole house is basically a museum.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got him on Facebook and am very envious of his collection most of the time.
Yeah. And see, it's funny. I'm envious of Randy's collection.
There we go.
Yeah, it's weird. I walk.
That's why I have a sheet.
You know, we don't use our connections enough. I used to I worked with a lady who her cousin.
I'm sorry, I do have to add everything behind Glenn. That's not his collection. That's just his reference material.
Or stuff he's done. So it's funny stuff he's done.
A couple of them are mine.
Okay. His actual collection's in an entirely different room.
Yeah.
No, listen, I've told you, I had all the Jack Kirby Fantastic Fours, 1 to 107 or 108, whatever it is. I had all the Spider-Mans, I had number 1s, number 2s, number 10s, I had the lot, Avengers, X-Men. And when I was 16, they were all under my bed, all out the way. And my mother said, time to get rid of those.
Oh, typical mom gives
I had the lot. I had the Hulk. I had everything. And then later when I was leaving school, we had this thing called a careers officer that you go to see what you want to do. So I went down with my mother to see this guy, and he said, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "I want to draw comics." And he said, and he didn't know what comics were. He was staggered. He said nobody draws comics, and it's a different age. When I was 15, I wasn't. Kids seemed to be a bit more gobby, as we would say, and answer back. We didn't then, and I just thought, well, who's drawn all those comics under my bed then? So I went into advertising and all that kind of stuff. But I still kept in touch with comics, and I've done comics since, and I do them now. But I was thwarted age 15, 16, by some imbecile who could only. The guy said to me, "Have you ever thought of being a mechanic?"
Yeah. Have you ever thought about working in a bank?
Yeah, well, there's nothing wrong with either of those two careers, but that's not what I wanted to do,
No. Well, that's the only careers that existed to those people because they couldn't think outside the box. Unfortunately, British education has been going down the tubes for quite some time.
Yeah.
I had the same thing when I was in college, and I was in illustration class, and he said, "Don't bother."
Yeah.
And so I went off to be a designer. I ended up in advertising and retail.
I have my regular muggle job, which is accounting, and I have my dream job, which is comics. And I came in late to comics because I was a full-time mom after we started having kids. I was an accountant, and then I was a full-time mom, and I was going crazy because I was like, oh my God, there's got to be something more interesting to life than talking to 2-year-olds. And I'd always been interested in art, and I started messing around with it. And by the time they were 5, I had my studio up and running, and I could keep an eye on them and work at home. And it was the perfect job. And I worked in comics full time until about 2000 when the big implosion happened. And then I went back to accounting, and I just did this on the side. And then I was able to retire early. And I took my accounting over to Silverline, which I keep their books now, but now I went back to comics. But accounting was my job. Okay. Comics was my career. There's 2 different things.
Well, if I could add here that a couple of years before this interview with this guy, let's just say that I didn't get on too well with my mother. Right. So when I've drawn all my life, I've always drawn. It's just about the only thing I've ever done apart from write. So I do, but I've always done both. And when I was about 12 or 13, I'd produced a comic. I was always producing little comic strips. And this was 22 pages in full color that I wrote and inked and drew and all the colored it and everything. And I even, this will sound crazy, but I even had a stapler and stapled it together. It was a real work of art, this thing. And I took it to my mum and I said, look at this, Mum, I've just done this. And it was 22 pages. And do you know what she said to me? I'm 12, 13. She said to me, you won't get a job doing that. And that's all she said. She didn't say, oh, wow, or it's rubbish, or it's brilliant, or whatever. Well done. She just said, you won't get a job doing that. And that was my mother. And that was so when I was with this guy who was telling me to be a mechanic, I didn't get any support because I was with my mother. If I'd have been with my dad, he'd have said, well, why not, and blah, 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 you see, but I went with my mum, so. But I'm okay now.
Yes, no, not bitter.
I got through it. I've written a few things, and I've been to a few places, so I've done all right.
Yeah, when I first
Vol
started,
asked, have you considered the janitorial industry?
Yeah.
Yeah, several times.
Constantly
Never
cleaning up.
trust a career counselor.
Yeah.
yeah, when I first started, of course, it took me a couple of years to become a pro, but my husband's like, well, it's always good to have a hobby. Yeah, that's not what
Wonderful.
this is.
Now,
Yeah.
you know, for me, the counselor getting out of school, she was like, "Oh, Varian, you'll do great at anything you do because you seem to like to go like be the head first. You're running off the cliff to do it." But she told me that she put an extra burden on me. She says, "But you have to do it as a black man." And I was like, "What?" She says, "Yeah, and everything you do, you should make sure you put black first." Which I don't know if like I did the complete opposite. Like, well, why? You know, so she wanted to make sure that she wanted me to make sure that everything I did had an authentically black voice, which necessarily isn't mine because I grew up in the suburbs. And you know, my friends come and say, "Man, life was tough in the projects." I'm like, yeah, it is. And I have no idea what they're talking about. I haven't a clue. You know, they're like, "Oh man, remember we used to sell drugs to get by? Remember hiding behind the store to rob somebody?" Yeah, man. Yeah, those was tough times. No, I stayed out of those places. I knew what was right behind that store. So for the guidance counselors here, for me, were completely different. And so I wish they would have told me stay out of comics. It would have been great. Could have got me a job doing something else. It would have been. I just, you know, I would have read the things at the bank. I could have been denying loans to everybody right now. That would have been the highlight of my day. What are you doing today, babe? I'm gonna go to work and crush someone's dreams. That's what I'm gonna do. I got someone coming in for a home loan today, babe. Watch this. I'm gonna tape it on my phone. Yeah.
During my junior and senior year, I went to a trade school, Genesee Area Skills Center, where I went in commercial art because I've always wanted to draw. I was raised in a very repressive household, a very religious household. My folks wouldn't let me have superheroes when I was younger until I bargained with them by them finding a Twilight Zone comic that I had where a guy makes a bargain with the devil. So then they bargained with me that I could bring superheroes into the house if I burned that evil Twilight Zone comic that had pictures of the devil in it. But at 15, my dad dragged me out of the house, and there were a group of ditch diggers going by digging out the ditch, and he pointed at him. I remember it distinctly as a very defining career moment for me. Pointed at them and said, "I would rather see you do this than sit there and draw them funny pictures." And that's when that was it for me. I was out of the house by the time I was 17, and I've been working always out there. Even though in Skill Center they told me you're never going to get a job on a regular basis doing comics or doing any kind of art that I'm teaching, commercial art that I'm teaching you in this class in this area, because it's all taken up and it's all there's very few opportunities. So learn what I teach you and figure on moving. And I never did move, and I did find employment drawing in the area. I worked in apparel shops for a good 15 to 20 years. In fact, owned my own apparel business for a short period of time before I decided that comics was just it for me. But I never realized I was such a defiant kid until you take that step and look back at it and go, man, I was really a defiant bastard back then, going, yeah, tell me I can't, screw you, I will,
just watch me.
Yeah,
exactly.
I heard I don't want you to be disappointed.
Wow.
And my reaction to that was, well, you to be successful in anything artistic, you have to eat disappointment for breakfast.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to have to take rejection after rejection after rejection. And I'd be a lot more disappointed if I didn't try, even if I failed. I would have been much more disappointed having not tried.
Of course, yeah.
And speaking of disappointment, I do want to point out the 2 years, my junior and senior year, I spent in commercial art at the Skill Center. I was there for half of the school day. I learned absolutely every tool you can possibly learn for commercial art that nobody uses anymore. It's all been replaced by Photoshop.
Yeah, typesetting. I used to print the football fixtures and things like that. And I used one of those Adana printing presses. I had to use a composing stick and tweezers and learn all about kerning and M's and N's. And it's absolutely, and nobody knows what the hell you're talking about now.
Remember line tape?
Yeah. I had a discussion with some people I worked with a while back.
I still have a hot waxer around here somewhere.
Yes, yeah.
Well, you tell kids about waxes and they go, what? You did what? You dropped the art into the wax and put it on a board, and then I put tracing paper over it and drew it up for the 4-color setting, and I did all that, and they're like, what? Why would you do that?
I had a conversation with some people I work with, and they didn't understand what the term upper and lower case was. They knew that uppercase was capitals, but they didn't know where it came from.
Wow.
So I'm just the mine of all this information because I'm older than they are. But people should know this. I think if you have a business, if you're in a business, you got to learn the rudiments of it. You've got to know the history of things. You know, like people think now that Russ and I have this sort of constant back and forth here about he's laughing now about artwork. I'm a traditionalist. I like to use pencils and board and paper and ink and gouache and whatever you can do. I've been doing it this morning. I have coloured on the computer. I do some on the computer, but I just prefer that I just love to hold that brush and feel it on the board and the paper and all that kind of thing. And people think that's the Middle Ages where they used to do that because of Photoshop and things like that. They don't understand.
No.
Like, I've got a set of repeatographs now. Randy will know what repeatographs are.
Oh yeah.
Fantastic.
Break out the Doc Martin inks.
Yes.
Oh yeah. I still have them. I do
too. I do too.
One guy I work with, he'd heard of spray mount. Like, you know what spray mount is?
Yes.
Oh yeah, of course.
But he'd never heard of cow gum.
Oh, cow gum. You gotta love cow gum.
I started cow gum. Cow gum is brilliant stuff if you use it right. If you don't, you've got it all over your hands and your head. Same with spray mount. But now you don't need any of that, which is good because there's the health thing involved with spray mount and all that. But I have to tell you,
smell great.
Back in everybody's walking around. Back in 1990, I got my first computer, which was an Apple Classic, little tiny thing, about the size of a toaster. And the screen was about that big, about 5 by 5. Yeah. And it was a black and white screen. And the first job I did on it, believe it or not, was a color price guide. Jesus. So you can imagine my panic. I couldn't check it. I couldn't check that the main price was in red. Do you understand what I mean? I couldn't see it. It was all. It's 100.
It's 100, and they're 100 yellow. What the hell? You know.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. So anyway, I did it.
Hey, do you remember Duotone?
Oh yes, I love Duotone.
Speaking of Joe Staten, he did some of his most incredible, best work in those Duotones. He loved it.
Yeah. I still have a whole box of Zipatone around here.
Yeah, really?
Wow.
Letraset with all the letters. I mean, that was banned at college because I had to draw the letters.
Well,
I had to know how it worked.
That's good.
Rather than just rubbing it down, it was banned until the last year when we were able to do more with it. So.
I've won awards doing ruby lith and amber lith separations. What good is that now?
My waxer was for cutting out word balloons, waxing the back and putting them.
Yeah,
that's
good.
Varian's just sitting back shaking his head. We can't see him. But that's what he's doing.
You can't understand a word we're saying.
You people are old.
The only other time I ever colored, Les Dorscheid used to live a block away from me. Fantastic colorist, and I was contracted to ink and color a little short story for a magazine, and I went down there and it's like, all right, you're going to tell me how to color. And that back then you use these chemical treated boards, and you would lay a photostat, clear photostat of the inks over this board. You would chemically treat it with this these liquids, and then you either put it under a sun lamp, or in my case, I just set it out in the driveway for a few hours. And when you lifted up the photostat, then you had the blue lines underneath on this board, and then you would paint it. I used, Doc Martin inks,
Yeah.
and then it was made so that it would peel away, and it could wrap around the drum then for printing.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
old style. So it was basically looked like an animation cell.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, when I was using the Adana printing press at school, I got out of all kinds of lessons. I don't like maths and things like that. So I'd be called out from a maths class to print up some brochure for something that was happening. It was absolutely brilliant. I loved it. But one time, you set all the ends and all this and letters and all this with these things called quads on the side that you turn and they open out and make it, it's called a bed. It's like in a frame. I lifted it up and it all fell out like when you press all the keys on a typewriter and they all go together. All this 3 weeks of work of missing maths lessons and science lessons was all like a pyramid. And I can't tell you, so I put it down and I had this, then I realized what this little hammer like a gavel was for on the side of the typeface cases. I realized what it was for, and it was for gently tapping down the lettering for when you didn't tighten your quads enough, you know what I mean? Coins, that's I think they're called. All this stuff. It's all brilliant stuff. And now all you do now is turn on a computer and think you're an artist.
Oh, that's harsh.
I just threw that to see whether you're paying attention.
Just throw that in there. I'm drawing, but I can listen. I
know you are. No, you just can't. You can't beat a pencil for me. On a piece of paper or board or whatever. It's just great. It's
Bob
lovely.
says most things I've actually learned were from different, were far different probably than what I was told. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I've found a great way of using the new technologies with traditional techniques. So I do my penciling digitally now because it just works for me. When I used to pencil before, it was always on a light box, so you could get a photocopy of a panel or whatever. You blow it up or down, retrace it, do whatever you do with your pencils. That's effectively just layers in Photoshop or Clip Studio. It's just layers, and you can which means I can do whatever I want with it. Then I printed it because the last book I did, in fact, all the stuff I've been doing for the last 10 years has been digital for 95% of it. It was all about speed and developing a style, but now I'm there. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm printing the pencils out and inking them with brush pens and having an absolute whale of a time.
Good.
So
right.
Yeah, it's how you approach it and what you get used to. And yeah, but I wouldn't have been able to ink the way I'm inking now if I hadn't have thrown myself at the digital inks in the way that
well, it's whatever works for you, isn't it? I'm not saying people shouldn't do that. I'm just saying I prefer to do it the way traditionally.
What I have a tendency to do now, I inked traditionally for 30 years, but once I got into digital inking, what I tend to do now is I will take the cover and I'll choose 3 or 4 of the most dynamic pages in the issue, and I'll do those traditionally, and I'll ink everything else digitally because it's so much faster. And then I can sell those traditional pieces on the Kickstarter.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did for my first book. I picked out four pieces plus the cover and what have you, and sold those. Yeah, definitely.
And we've passed our first hour. We want to thank everybody for listening. We want to tell our radio audience that you're listening to another episode of Sunday Funnies here on the Indie Vault Radio Network. This is the Sunday Funnies for May 23rd, 2021. We appreciate everybody listening in. Varian, do we have any radio numbers?
Give me 2 minutes. I can get them up.
Okay, thank you. Mm-hmm. And we want to switch over here because Charles has been so patient.
Yes, go for it.
Yeah, I look that way, but don't take that to mean I've been patient. I've been chomping at the bit here.
So tell us about your book.
Yeah, well, there it is, Rammer. Shortest elevator pitch in entertainment. Master thief in a future police state. That pretty much sums it up. That's what he looks like. There's the video. There's some art. That's the splash page without the lettering. Page 2, no lettering.
Tell us more about it.
Yeah, well, in this first story, he is going to rob a museum, but these two guys got there first, and doesn't work out too well for them. Unfortunately, the sculpture he was going to steal gets destroyed, so didn't work out for anybody. He leaves the museum. He's got to get his equipment repaired, and it turns out that he's being followed by the police. He can't figure out how that happened. So somebody ratted him out, and that's the crux of the story. That's what he's got to find out. These are crime stories rather than mystery stories. In a mystery story, you're trying to find out who did it, figure out who did it. In a crime story, you know who did it, and you don't know if they're going to get caught.
Mm-hmm.
Does he have an origin story?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No background, no origin story. He just is. We just start out in the middle of a story. That is Dominatra, otherwise known as Dami. She is the big sister that runs this future police state, and she may or may not be a real person, but her image is everywhere. It's statues, propaganda posters, even on their money. There she is again. This is a different story, the backup story, drawn by Marco Perugini, an Italian artist. The first story, the lead story, is drawn by Paulo Perez, a Brazilian artist who I found online. Marco found me, and I like what he does.
Yeah. Love the combo with the coloring, the animated style with the coloring look.
Yeah, that's great.
It's nice.
A little bit of a Bruce Timm look to it.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It's very clean and classic.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is a tryout page that I had Paulo do. I called this Aspects of Rammer. We wanted to see a little bit of everything he does. When you see him in his red shirt, that means he's off duty. This is an alternate cover. I use this for number 0, which is a free giveaway preview issue. I tried to cram every concept and every idea involved in Rammer into this cover. And as much as I like it, I just decided I didn't want to use it as the main cover. That's the contents page for the first issue. The first issue is published. It is on Comixology, published by Marcosia. And I'm doing an Indiegogo for a print version. There are 4 stories in the first issue, 24 pages and 6 pages involving Rammer, 4 pages and 2 pages involving the backup feature, Tops, Tales of the Police State. These are funky little kind of alternative comic stories about how miserable it is to live in a police state. They're really depressing.
I think we're all going to find that out soon.
Yeah, they're halfway there already.
There's the Dami propaganda poster. This was done by an artist in New York City, Matt Chick. My daughter found him. She went into the Strand bookstore and saw his art on display. She contacted me and said, I think you might like this guy's art. And I did, and I do. And I gave him very little direction on this. I gave him a character sketch of Dominatra. And I said, I want her. I want the words Dami loves you. And the flag of the Global Freedom Authority. They are the world government in the future. That's their flag in the background.
Yeah, we tried to suggest to Charles that there was a bunch of hidden innuendo on this book, but he denied it all.
No, I didn't deny that it's there. I just denied that it's intentional.
Okay, yeah, well, yeah.
This is a possible cover for number 2. That's a robot designed by Paulo for the second issue. And by the middle of the second issue, I realized I really like having him fight robots. So I think he's going to be fighting a robot in one scene, at least, in every story. And I gave some links to Paulo to the old Magnus Robot Fighter comic. I said, don't rip off any of these designs, but just use them as idea starters.
Robots are cool.
Are we going to show the video, Randy?
We can.
And like I say, if the video doesn't sell it, there's really nothing more I can do.
All right. It's going to take me a second because I did not set that up for sound, but I will.
The music is heavy metal music that I did purchase, so we don't have to worry about copyright strikes. I'm
Good
not
to
a
know.
heavy metal fan, but I think this music works.
Whammo.
Gives me chills every time I see it.
That is really,
well put
really
together.
good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's-
Yeah, Marco Perugini did the video using Paulo's artwork, and yeah, he did a great job with that video.
Very good.
A lot of fun. A lot of fun. I love
Yeah.
the animation on that. It's just really sweet.
It's great, isn't it?
Just right. Not enough of that. The standard, just almost like moving a still frame.
Yeah, Barbara,
a flash animation out there.
Barbara, I'm glad you asked me about the origin, because so much about this comic is so different and antithetical to what is going on in comics in general. Every story is self-contained, so you can pick one up, and the 24-page story is self-contained, the 6-page, the 4-page, the 2-page, and the second issue is a direct sequel to the first one, but I spend maybe a caption bringing you up to date. And so there's no origin, no background. This guy's interests are very simple: money and women.
It's kind of like a TV show, and every episode is self-contained.
Yeah, I like comics that way. I don't. I have a very short attention span, and I think that's part of it. And in terms of the world building, I tried to keep it really simple as well, just enough to make it feel fleshed out, but not so much that you need a reference book to figure it all out.
Marv says, Charles, this could be an awesome animated series.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. Marcosia does have agents in Hollywood and pitching everything he publishes. So hopefully at some point somebody will see this and go, oh, look, our work has been done for us.
Well, I absolutely love the Paul Dini animated style.
Me too.
Look to it.
Now, I like that style, and I also thought it would be easier to find a bunch of artists who could do it that way, and that it would be faster, which means less expensive. I mentioned that in a chat, or maybe on Facebook. I don't remember, but some artists said, no, that's not true. It takes just as long to do comics in this style. And I thought, okay, well, I'm not going to argue with the guy. I don't believe that. I don't agree with it, but that's what he said. I can't believe it takes as much time to put down 100 lines as it does 10,000.
Well, we have somebody on the panel that has experience in both directions.
I just want to attest to that, Charles, and you're absolutely right. The way that I draw currently, which is kind of like a superhero-y sort of, old Bronze Age style way of drawing, it takes so much longer. I did a Ben 10 strip for a year, just over a year, and I was getting 9 pages down in a week from pencil to color. So I can absolutely guarantee it does take less time to do this kind of stuff.
Certainly takes less time inking. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, because it's that one line, and there's still a tremendous art to it and a tremendous skill to it of getting the right line weights. You know, people should still understand anatomy when they're doing rubber hose limbs and all that kind of stuff. There's still a storytelling process. It still requires huge skill and knowledge of comic books or comic book medium, but it doesn't take us long.
No, and Paulo is always picking the right angles, and I got lucky with both of these artists, and actually everybody who's working on this book, the 4 different stories, they're all doing all of it, the pencils, inks, and color. So potentially I could have had 12 different people working on this book instead of 4.
Yeah.
And if I didn't like somebody's inking or I didn't like their coloring, I would have gone in a different direction, but fortunately I didn't have to. So, I give Paulo a full script. I get back breakdowns, and then we proceed from there. Occasionally, and I give him a lot of photo reference, but occasionally I actually do a very rudimentary sketch if I just can't explain in words something that I'm looking for. And there's a 10-page making of section in the 48-page comic where we show the making of the splash page, starting out with my sketch, which should tell anybody why I'm a writer and not an artist.
Mike Jimmy says, of course, this is faster, and the work looks just as good as long as it all hangs together. I just love the style of that type of book. That's why I'm really attracted to like Joe Staton and the really clean animated look to the work. Terry Beatty did a lot of that material for Batman animated for quite a while.
Rammer's trench coat became a matter of necessity. I decided he needed to cover up a lot of his gear because he started out with that bolero jacket, and then I thought, well, I don't want him changing. So this is science fiction. How about if the bolero jacket just descends, mental command, or maybe he presses a button, I don't know, and it just descends into the trench coat. There is an intermediary stage as it goes down, which I call the car coat, and maybe he'll get stuck at that car coat stage at some point, which would be kind of funny because it looks a little ridiculous on him. But the bolero jacket looks great. The trench coat looks great. That shirt of his also goes up and down to cover the ram scoop, which sucks up hydrogen atoms. That's what powers him. He might be the first hydrogen-powered superhero. Except that he's a villain.
It works for a garage door, so why can't clothing be retractable?
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is science fiction, and is this any more ridiculous than a guy that was bitten by a radioactive spider?
No.
That's right.
There you go.
It should all be fun.
Exactly.
And if you think too much about it, it all kind of falls apart.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's
Rick
usually the
Holberg
best stuff.
Rick Holberg is another one who has a really, really classic style. I've worked with him many times.
Yeah, Ron Friends is doing that kind of thing too.
Oh, Ron's got a book. He's been working on Superhero Union, I believe it's called, something like that. And it's way out of the park. It's just amazing stuff. Great. It looks like classic superhero work.
It's funny because what I'm finding is there's a lot of people that are looking at this and liking it because there's kind of a 25 or 20-year cycle of nostalgia.
Mm-hmm.
And now this style is nostalgia for a lot of people who grew up with the 90s stuff, the Batman and Superman animated stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I got a hold of a how to draw book that had the not quite the style sheets, but you could tell that it was based off of those two and a Wonder Woman series that they were must have been looking at doing with the Creeper in it. I was
from the 90s.
Yeah, from that period. That must have been the next show they were going to do.
There's a wonderful book based on an oversized book based on the Batman animated series of all the artwork and the designs and the model sheets and everything. It was funny because I was looking at my copy and thinking maybe I'd like to have another copy of this so I can, store one and beat one up. But then I looked at what it goes for now.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I think I better put the one I have in a bag.
Yeah.
It's
like
a beautiful book.
It's like the Alex Toth in Design.
Oh my God!
Where they reprinted all of his character sheets.
Yeah, some of those are out of print and ridiculously expensive.
Yep, really high, but incredible stuff. You know, it's to me, it's really fascinating to see somebody come through with a definite style and look to their stuff and still be very simplistic, deceivingly simplistic, like CC Beck and Alex Toth. Joe Staten's another one I would put in that school. That have it down. I mean, they can literally draw anything, but they can draw it very simply, very quickly, and just have their own individual look to it.
Joe Staten was actually the first designer on Rammer quite some time ago, a very different version. And then the second guy to take a whack at it was Andrew Wendell. He did some work for Valiant in the 90s.
Okay.
And then Paulo is really the final designer. I gave him everything that had been done so far, and he came up with this design. So I do share credit with those three artists, but Paulo's the main man right now.
Cool.
Could you not publish those previous versions so we could all see the progression?
I have on Facebook, and probably because during the Indiegogo, I'm trying to come up with something every day on Facebook. I may just repost one of those. Andrew's version had facial tattoos based on the Maori tribesmen. And as cool as it looked, I just thought, I really can't ask an artist to draw this over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. And I also thought, well, maybe the police are going to have a little bit easier time tracking this guy down if he's got these very distinctive tattoos on his face.
Right.
So from a practical point of view, I decided, it really wasn't going to work as cool as it looked.
I mean, it's not as if you'd notice him without his tattoos, is it?
No, absolutely not.
Right now, we're adding to the stream Mr. Mark Darden. Mark, introduce yourself.
Hey. Jump in. I'm Mark Darden, writer of the Guano Guy comic. So another comic guy on the panel. And asked Randy if I could come on this morning because I had a big announcement.
Announce it. Run with it.
Okay. So a whole bunch of people actually really have been working for over a year on a couple of books, one of which came out a month ago, Image Grand Design. And now finally today, Image Grand Disaster, the companion book, is now available. They're both fan comics, so nobody's making anything, but you can contribute to the Hero Fund, and it's a giant book. It's ended up 212 pages with a whole bunch of extra material. We had a month in between design coming out till Disaster was coming out today, so we made more pages while we were waiting. So it's a really huge book with amazing from like first-time comic makers to pros in the industry putting this thing together, and it's a huge, gigantic romp of a tale. D-list superheroes trying to survive, and it's amazing. It's been, as you can tell, I'm tired because I was working all day yesterday getting the final touches together before submitting. But it's an incredible project that we've been working on for a while, and I'm really excited that it's finally available for everybody to enjoy.
And that's 200 digital pages, right?
Yeah, 212.
212.
with amazing stuff. I had can't go wrong with like Chris Anderson's.
Oh, hang on, I gotta blow that up here.
Yeah, really. Yeah. I can get you a good angle.
Yeah, we can see it. Just
going,
we
we did some copies for ourselves, the makers of it, but that's not available to the public. But the PDF, you can grab it, print it yourself. And it was just a huge fun book that people got together on. The design book was a plot outline by Ed Piscor, and a bunch of people put that together. And then I caught on to the companion book, Disaster, and we've been working hard on it. And it's a really fun, amazing story with a whole lot of D-list characters, which is fun to see those guys try to survive when the A-listers are all gone.
Now, is Guano Guy in this, or is this Image characters?
No, just everybody every character who ever touched Image, maybe showed up for a couple issues, had a crossover, was housed there for 6 months. They're all showing up. We wrote just about everything in possible.
Now, is there an easy site that folks can go to get a hold of this?
Yes, I shot
address
over that link, the one you're showing. I'm sorry.
Did. I have an address here, but it's quite long.
Oh yeah. That's it is long.
We can try to run that in the chat.
Yeah, I can put it up. Give me 1 second. Let me see. Give me 1 second.
So yeah, I do see what you mean. It is quite long, but
yeah, you'll have to click on the link as opposed to typing into your search bar.
Well, they could just go to imagegranddesign.com.
Is that where it's at? Imagegranddesign.com.
Yeah. Here, I'll put the link in there. They can always just go there, but here, I'll put the link in the chat. It is.
Now, this is a companion book to Image Grand Design. This is Image Grand Disaster.
Yes,
so
that's correct.
The Image Grand Design has the more recognizable, shall we say, or famous Image characters.
Yeah, they show back up in Disaster, but not in the same way. There's some fallout. So Image Grand Design really focuses on the founder characters that and we romp through with all the other ones.
And these are go ahead.
Have you guys gotten any response from the Image creators yet?
There's been a couple of good responses. Actually, Rob Liefeld reached out and got a copy of the book and put up a positive post. He really dug it and thought it was really fun, and we got a positive response from Eric Larson was digging it. So, and it was just made out of love. So,
that's really the key thing about this. Both of these books are fun.
Mm-hmm.
They're old style, lighthearted superhero adventure stories. 200 pages per book or more.
The first one was 170.
170, and the second one's 212.
Yeah. There's a lot of material that was all made last year. A little bit made this year while waiting.
Yeah. All for $5 a hit. So for $10, you're going to get 380 some pages.
And all that's going to the Hero Initiative.
To the Hero Initiative.
Yeah, it's a fundraiser for the Hero Initiative to help the old school comic creators who deals weren't as good back then. So none of us are taking anything from it. We're just doing fundraising.
Yeah.
Wow.
You can find that. Go ahead.
But the reason why I ask about the creators is because all it takes is a couple to say, hey, this is pretty cool. Go ahead and release it as a print book, or here, let us do a cover for you. That's all it takes. And all of a sudden now everyone's, have you seen this book? It's great. And now you get to charge $30 for it.
Oh, I mean, the level of artistry. This Alan Greenwood here, who I had the pleasure of working with on several stories, does fantastic work. He didn't do those bottom panels. That's obviously a different style, but he worked on a whole bunch of stories in this. And he was a guy who hadn't done comics before. He was clearly practicing at home. just an untapped, got talent who absolutely loved these characters and was drawing regularly. And that's just, he's another guy who just loves Image Comics and really wanted to be a part of making a fan project about it.
So if you haven't gotten your copy yet, it's available to anybody with the internet connection, able to download the PDF file, imagegranddesign.com.
Look big for the phone. Sorry.
Go ahead. Say what?
Yeah, too big for your phone.
Way too big for your phone. Yeah. You're going to want to download it onto your reader or your system. You're going to have a little room for it. This is a large book, or two large books. But for $10, how can you go wrong? You know, even if you're not a big fan of digital comics, the $10 is going towards the Hero Initiative, which is a very, very worthy cause. I've known a few artists, friends of mine, that have been helped by the initiative, and it's a more than worthwhile cause. So go over there and check it out, imagegranddesign.com, and look for Image Grand Disaster, which is a companion volume. Looks to be even more fun, using all those great oddball characters, some of which you probably have never even heard of before, that have popped in and out of Image at one time or another. So, and we all know that Image was crazy there for quite a while with a lot of different crazy characters. So
I love the one that looks like a Muppet gone wrong.
yeah.
He does.
Yeah,
He does. I'm gonna get
it's
that up
pretty
my
funny
head.
seeing the D-lister. It's kind of like, oh, what are we supposed to do? It's just us. So we're not behind any bigger people this time. It's just us.
Yeah.
We're the front line now. Oh boy,
There's a movie in that.
There is.
Although, you know, in a way, I know people won't like me saying this, but in a way, wasn't that the first Avengers movie? Like at that point, like all those characters
in a
were
way at the time. Yeah.
yeah. All those characters like, do I really want to see a movie with all these people? You're making
Right.
a movie.
So the X-Men aren't in it.
Yeah. Are you sure you want to make this movie? Okay. Although I lived in a gated apartment complex at that point, and the whenever I would come home, well, at that time the security guard, he would want to stop and talk to me all the time, so he would never let me pass like right away. I'd show my ID card, like, let me in, please, and he's like, hey, I seen that Avengers movie. I thought all the characters were there. I mean, all the MCU characters are. No, I didn't see Green Lantern.
Right.
Well,
And
never an Avenger.
Yeah. It's like, well, he's got to come because they said they're gonna put them all in there. You know, Batman, Green Lantern, Spawn, and I'm like, oh Christ. You don't understand the way this goes, do you? But I just sat there and shook my head, nodded my head, like, yeah, sure, they'll put them all in there. They'll put them
Next time.
Yeah, next time.
Yeah. It's like Roger Rabbit.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hey, Roger bridges the universes.
such a good movie.
The Lego movies do that. They'll have Marvel and DC characters in those movies. They don't interact. They're there.
Mashup.
Yeah.
Who was that news anchor woman who said she loved Superman and then she quoted that Spider-Man line?
Yeah, we have that
Yeah.
clip. Yeah.
That's on the other brand here, but
That must be that guy's sister.
who's your favorite Marvel character? Mine is Superman.
Yeah.
We all know that motto: with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
They couldn't make Roger Rabbit today.
No, nope.
But there's I don't know. I like maybe they could, because even the new Space Jam is basically stealing the end of Ready Player One.
I don't think they could show Jessica.
No.
No.
And they definitely couldn't play patty cake with her.
Yeah.
Well, with social distancing and all. Yeah.
How do you portray a character who that's literally like they're professionally good looking?
In that way.
Because there are people that are professionally good looking. It's what they do for a living.
Yeah.
Well,
They're called supermodels.
That's not to be tolerated.
They canceled Megan Fox. Look what they stuck my lovely future wife with Machine Gun Kelly. No, never have it. Never. Sorry, I'm in mourning.
Mark, again, we want to thank you for coming on and showing off that Image Grand Design, Image Grand Disaster. Go over there and take a look.
I thought I was going to be close to your time zone when I moved to Phoenix, and it turned out that even though I'm in Mountain Time, they don't do daylight savings time, so I'm still 3 hours behind you.
There you go. Yeah.
Good Lord, what are you doing over there in the colonies? Come on, sort yourself out.
Yeah, the whole daylight savings time is so done. I mean, it was put into place to help the farmers way back when. It's useless now. Why don't we abolish it? I don't know.
We had the same thing. We had the same thing in the war when the Germans were bombing us, but I don't think they bombed us for quite about 80 years now. So I can't work out why we just don't, get on the same track again.
They bombed our chip shop.
Yeah. What do you need to wake up for a bombing for anyway? I mean, might as well just sleep through it.
Don't you know, Governor? Everyone in London loves a good bombing. But for everybody on YouTube, that was a joke.
Yes, please.
You're cancelled.
The fact that someone with an English accent went into a English accent to do it.
God bless you, Governor.
I was going to mention earlier that I don't use my contacts enough for people, and I've only had good experiences with having an in. For instance, I worked with a young lady who her cousin. Well, she wasn't. I say young lady, but she was older than me. But she said, my cousin is the mayor of I won't say the city here in Michigan, and if you ever get in any trouble out there, let me know. Well, I never get in trouble. I'm vanilla as hell, but I did get a speeding ticket. And the thing was, here's the thing. I was trying to get off an 8 Mile road. Now, listen, there's a movie called 8 Mile. It's an Eminem movie, and it's very authentic. And I was trying to get, I have a nice car. So, there's certain parts on 8 Mile you just don't go. So I was getting the hell out of Dodge, and this police officer pulled me over, and I was outside of Detroit, but I was pulled over, and I got this speeding ticket for $350.
$350?
Yeah. I'm like, I'm not paying $350. I'm not paying. You out of your mind?
It's probably more than your car is worth.
Yeah, well, no, I had a pretty. It
was nice.
It was a insurance payment. It was an insurance payment, the $350. But I'm like, I can't pay this. I remember making a joke like, why don't you just add $10 more so it'd be completely $360? Turn my life completely around. But I complained about it, and then I remember she told me, she said, this caller. And so I called her, and she said, oh, yeah, I'll talk to him. Well, I kept kind of, ringing her about it as the court date came up. So I went to court, and I stood in front of the judge, and I'm like, yeah, I got this ticket. And the judge looks at it, he says, oh, yeah. And the officer showed up. And he says, yeah, no, it's this ticket's, we're going to take it out. I've already handled. And he looks at me, this judge, and he looks at me, he gives me this look like, you son of a bitch. And I look at him, and I'm like, oh, okay. He looks at the officer, and the officer seems puzzled. He says, I'll talk to you in my chambers. It's fine. We're going to waive this ticket, Mr. Grant. You're free to go. Be careful driving out there. Thank you. And I'm thinking, I walk out, I feel like a boss. I'm like, that's right. I'm going to go rob a store.
You call him Mister, and he gets wild. Gee.
Yeah. I walked out. I'm like, this is what it feels like to be white. And
I wish that were the case.
No matter what comedians tell you, we don't look out for each other that much.
No. There's no funny handshakes or anything. It doesn't work that way.
No.
That's a fine tale of corruption. I'm very impressed.
It is too. That mayor is constantly under fire. I'm not gonna say his name because that mayor is constantly under fire for stuff. And I'm like, he is corrupt, and he helped me. And please, no one bring this up. I don't want a ticket to come back.
Yeah, I had the same thing happen to me in Lake Placid. Same exact story.
Mm-hmm. See?
Except I wasn't black.
No, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't get him out of anything. Amazing.
Critical Blast says you just made me crash my fish.
Hey, I have a question for our UK friends on the chat. Is Robson Green as popular there as he is here? The actor?
Robson.
He was, but
is that the one from the soldier thing?
Yeah, he's not been around for about 300 years. I don't.
Yeah.
No, everybody thinks. Is he the one with the fishing show?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, nobody likes him.
No, he's a joke over there.
He's spent.
Nobody's seen him since 1991.
No,
okay.
No. When he did that awful song.
Yeah.
So he had to
Obviously, why he's doing a fishing show,
Yeah,
right?
just checking.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I had no idea who that is.
Don't take any notice of him, and if you see him, don't give him any money.
Good point.
We got rid of him apparently. Sent him over here. That's what they do. They say, we send him over to the colonies. Let them have him.
Hey, are you guys mad at us? Is that why you shipped him
Probably.
over here?
We're always good for leftovers.
We've been mad for 200 years.
Yeah.
Over 200 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could have walked.
You want it back?
I could have walked on the moon.
No.
Well, they send him over here and they put him on with
No.
Dancing with the Stars, is what they do.
And they slowly, they're like, we'll get him back to pop culture. What do you
We're
mean?
thinking about giving New York back to the Dutch.
Yeah, the Dutch will make a good job of it.
Wait a minute. Oh, man.
Old New Amsterdam. Yeah. Be great.
That means
There's a question I want to ask you as Americans. I keep hearing people referring to this Christopher Columbus guy as being one of the biggest racist murderers in history in the United States, but he never actually got there, did he? He only got to the Bahamas. He never actually got to North America.
Yeah, he missed.
That's
So
correct.
what? He might have massacred the people of Bahamas. I don't know, but
Yeah.
he didn't get to mainland America. So why do people
Because
keep
people
referring to him?
because people don't know history. They should
No.
be mad at
Exactly, yeah.
America. They should be mad at Amerigo Vespucci.
That's right. Yeah, that's the one. Amerigo. There's a good clue. Amerigo. Amerigo. As opposed to Christopher.
Yes.
Amerigo. Christopher.
Well,
yeah,
we do have a Columbus, Ohio.
Yes.
Yeah, we got a Columbus Circle in New York as well, but that don't mean anything, does it?
We have a Columbus, Wisconsin, about 15 minutes away.
There you go.
You guys got to. Me and Randy are making plans to go to Wakanda, Wisconsin.
Yes, we are.
I like the way you veered that back to comics.
Yeah. We're making plans on going there. I did want to say too, by the way, Charles. Amerigo, I can't say his last name, and I still stutter to say it because he got me 3 days suspension.
Vespucci.
Woo, I can't say it. My mouth does not work that way. And I'm just in history class. Barbara, cover your ears.
Oh God!
I'm in history class. I'm like 16. My Amerigo Vespucci is and I keep saying the P word.
Oh, okay.
And the teacher's like, Mr. Grant. I'm like, I can't. I can't. My mouth is it keeps coming out that way. And so she got irritated and she sent me to the principal's office and she said that I was saying pussy, like on purpose. And I'm like, I was not. And he's like, Varian, you're going home to Friday. I'm like, give me the balance of the shift, sir. Let me just come back on Monday. I don't know why you want me to come back on Friday. What kind of crap is that? Oh, you're suspended for 3 days. Come back on Friday. No.
I don't think any chat anywhere in the world this morning is talking about Amerigo Vespucci and the way you should not be pronouncing his name. I don't think anybody else in the world is talking about that this morning.
I feel special
but
now.
I'm glad we are.
Literally what the Sunday Funnies are all about.
Yeah.
Now, Variant, Randy, when you guys go to Wakanda, I feel like you need to film your own Coming to America kind of movie.
Yes.
The perfect setup.
Wait until you see what Varian's going to be wearing.
Yeah.
Where should we go? Wakanda.
Yeah.
Not just Wakanda forever.
Did anybody here purchase the first appearance of the Black Panther and Fantastic Four off a newsstand at the time?
Yeah, me.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And I thought it was one of the greatest things I'd ever seen.
Mhm.
And I didn't care that he was black. I just cared that he was an incredibly cool character.
Yeah.
Incredibly cool character.
Did they reveal that right away? Was the
Yes.
mask added?
Oh, well, not on the cover. No, not on the on the cover. You couldn't tell, but as soon as the action started, yeah.
One of the best costumes ever designed.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
But one of
Brilliant.
the worst costumes ever designed was Kirby's original design for him, and the worst name for a character, the Coal Tiger.
Yeah, that was awful, wasn't it?
The
The
Coal
red and yellow.
Tiger. Yeah, and the
Red and
the
yellow
costume
outfit,
was a horror show.
Yep. But for the the Black Panther to have his whole face covered. They did that on purpose because of the they were afraid how the cover was going to look in the South.
Yes.
So they had somebody in the bullpen cover up. He had an open space from the bridge of his nose to his chin, just like Captain America. And they went through it and colored that in, and it just made the costume look cool.
However, yeah, it's a happy accident because the costumes. I'm
very happy accident.
Not quite as old, so I don't have that first version, but I do remember picking up comics as a kid, and whenever the Black Panther turned up, it was like, that's cool.
Yeah,
it just was a cool.
Hey, you know what's a really cool comic is when Barry Smith drew Daredevil with a team up with the Black Panther.
Ooh.
And it was when he just got started, so his artwork was still a little funky, but very dynamic. And the cool thing was they basically Daredevil and Black Panther basically had the same costume except different colors.
Yeah.
So to see them jumping around the canyons of Manhattan together was just, as a little kid reading this, it just blew my mind.
But that's like with Spider-Man. It's not about what color is there or what color isn't there. You apply yourself to those heroes. They're like, they're for everybody.
Yeah. And you want to be them.
Yeah, I want to be them. Yeah.
On the flip side, I think the old X-Men Bumblebee costumes were the worst, most ugliest outfits I have ever seen. They were horrible.
They were, you're right. First, they were kind of black with blue highlights and yellow, and then the black became more and more blue over time.
Yeah. I've got the Funko Pop collection of those figures just because my wife collects Funkos, and I'm like, I guess I should get a couple of them. And I got the X-Men figures, and I was really disappointed because I'm like, well, the Iceman has to like just a big like frosty snow cone. Like this, but he doesn't. They made him like translucent and smooth. Like that's not how he looked.
No,
he was a big.
After about 7 issues, they realized he just looked too stupid as a snow as a snowman, snow cone, and then they crystallized him. And then when they gave the original X-Men their own individual costumes, those looked pretty good, I thought.
Yeah, the yellow and black ones were just awful, I thought.
Yeah, but the charm about them, though, what I always thought the really cool part about it was that there was one element that was different, so that you could tell the characters apart. You know, except for Marvel Girl, of course.
Yeah.
But the visor, the wings, the big feet, big hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
I didn't mind those original costumes. I thought they were okay.
It's like a school uniform.
Yeah.
Yeah. They came out of those pretty quick.
Yeah.
What did you say, Mark?
Mark has to say.
Can I mention real quick, because I also got the other project?
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So also Guano Guy #4, which is actually the 8th comic, but it'll make sense if you read the thing. Guano Guy #4 is up on Kickstarter, and it's like 250 pages of material created so far. So full PDF sets available. Wow. So if you're overseas from.
When did you launch it today?
But if you're here in the States, you can get all 8 issues as well, physical copies.
When did you launch that?
Today?
That launched a few weeks ago.
I didn't get the update.
We haven't been aware.
Oh,
we'd have had you on.
Yeah, I had I signed up for the mailing list and I didn't get the update.
Oh God. Well,
you probably did.
It's up there,
Mark. The things have been so crazy here that you gotta.
I had a lot going on too. I started a new job, had to move to Phoenix. I got a new airport tower. I got to learn, get down some heavier traffic.
Yeah. People live in fear. Mark is directing the planes in. It's Mark.
Hey, Mark, you're in Phoenix?
Yeah.
There is a world-class pizza place right around the corner from the convention center.
Oh.
And if you look up officially approved Neapolitan pizza, they have that certification. You'll find the place that way. The city of Naples actually certifies certain pizza places as being authentic, and this is one. If you with those clues, you'll be able to find it.
Okay.
There we go. We've got it up on screen now. You have 33 more days to go. This is Guano Guy #4, plus all 7 other Guano Guy comics.
Yeah.
Love that cover.
Yeah, I did a longer campaign because I didn't want it to end while I was in training.
That's pretty cool. I like that cover. That's who's the artist
Alex
on that
Spiegel
cover?
did that one. So it's a really cool piece. That's available as a poster. And then the actual cover was David Lapham. That one.
Oh, nice.
That's great stuff, and I got to give you credit for going with humor. Not too many people have the nerve to do funny things today.
Not enough. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah,
it's good for the Sunday Funnies.
Mhm.
Yes.
It is a good match. Yeah. I was doing stand up for several years, so it made a lot of sense to do a funny book.
Tell us your funniest joke.
Oh yeah, put him on the spot. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you, I got one, because it is weird for comedians to do. It's not like I'm standing on stage with a mic and people are ready. But I was trying to explain, and normally I do it with voice, but whatever. I was trying to explain dating apps to my mom, and she was like, "I don't know about dating apps. People just look at you and left swipe you." And I was like, "Mom, come on, I've gotten left swipe plenty in life. It used to hurt a lot worse because I was standing right there in person."
Don't give up your day job.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
That was my joke, Mark. Mark, that was my joke.
That's called heckling.
I make a joke about this, but you mentioned dating apps. But I once, my good friend once, she's a female. She came across my profile and she's like, "Oh, I'm on a right swipe on you," and I'm like, "Why are you doing this? Now it's weird. Now you made it weird, and I think you like me. Admit it." The time, I don't know why she did that. And maybe just to boost my ego. But then I met my wife, and so now I have.
I want to sell a joke to Stephen Wright. You know who Stephen Wright is?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the joke is, and imagine it in his deadpan voice. Why isn't phonetically spelled phonetically? Think about it.
Good question.
Yeah.
Well, that's the same as why is there only one monopolist commission?
Because they have a monopoly on it.
Thank you very much. Come back. I'll be here a week. Try the veal.
Critical Blast shamelessly plugging their own show. Bring that new Guano Guy cover over to our show later, Mark. You haven't been on it in forever.
Okay, I'll be over in a few.
Mike Jimmy says, "Mark, damn it, keep us updated so we can promote you."
Thank you very much.
He says, "Oh God, I'm having flashbacks to that season ending of Breaking Bad."
Yeah, the ending of Breaking Bad is
I was on Critical Blast a few days ago. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah, me too.
Does Naples also certify ice cream? I think there's a Naples brand ice cream, if I'm not mistaken. Mike Jimmy says, "Ouch."
Neapolitan ice cream.
Could be.
By the way, I have a question too. If we give the United States back, does that mean Michigan goes back to the French, or at least Detroit? Because we got a lot of.
Give it back to Canada.
Yeah.
Oui.
Oh no.
They have to get across the pond first.
Oh man.
The lakes.
Man, because the French. So, although that'd be a lot better than that flag we got now. Anyway, I'm sorry. I don't like our flag.
I never could understand why two deer were standing.
It's a deer and a moose.
Oh, a deer and a moose.
Yeah,
with an eagle in the middle.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Are they fighting?
I think it looks like they're fighting, but they're probably not. They're probably like it's like Disney kids. Like, hey, look at this wax deal we got.
Celebrating Boxing Day.
Yeah, New York's flag has the Dutch gypping the Native American out of Manhattan.
You could call it a jip, but isn't that just good deal making?
That's a Robert Klein joke. I stole.
Not if you're a Native American.
But wasn't the guy foolish because the Indian guy was giving it him for free because he said we don't own any land and he gave him 20,
that's exactly correct.
Didn't he give a necklace
actually he sold
$24?
Yeah, he sold somebody else's land.
Yeah.
I like to apologize to any of the Romani individuals listening to the show this morning who may be offended by the word you used, gypped.
That's right. That's right. You can't use that word anymore.
Yeah, the Indians have not yet respected all our purchase of their land. That we got to talk to India right away.
Michigan deer and moose look like they walked off a Rankin Bass cartoon. Yeah.
Yeah. We should make characters of those. It's deer and moose, the Michigan agents. Deer and moose. Look at that. This is.
Sorry, I just popped that up because you were talking about the costumes earlier.
Yeah.
So I popped it up at the time. It's been up there for a while.
Where did the tentacles go when they weren't coming out of his wrist?
I don't know, but I don't think it matters.
I don't think I want to know.
I mean, it'd probably have to go down the arms, down into the legs.
I'm more concerned where they went after they came out.
Yeah. I mean, it does look a bit sort of intestinal, doesn't it?
Yeah, you have done it that way. Yes.
Yeah.
That does look intestinal.
Is that guy Stan Lee there in the middle?
That's Stan in the middle. Yeah.
Those tentacles are size matters.
Wow.
Either that or who was he on in the New Gods? Name escapes me.
Funky Flashman.
Funky Flashman, yes.
Funky.
It's Funky Flashman from the New Gods.
Yeah.
I didn't appreciate that. Picking on my stand. That's my stuff.
Do the tentacles only come out of his wrist? Mega hentai. Oh, mega hentai.
Oh gosh, we have a dark side like character showing up in the Guano Guy. A salesman tries to sell him an anti-life gun and tries to get him to use it on himself. There's a good setup to it. It's a much funnier joke, but I think that's enough to tell you all the way.
Mark, tell folks how they can find you.
Facebook. Mark Darden on Facebook, or if you just want updates about the Guano Guy and an occasional other comic post, you can follow the Guano Guy himself.
Hey, Mark, I've been so nice to you because after this is over, I'm going to be contacting you to hit you up for a favor. I just wanted to let you know.
We're going to find out where those tentacles go if you keep asking questions.
I don't know.
You guys say it emotion. You're going to find out what these tentacles.
I'm not storing those tentacles.
Yeah.
Russ,
where can people find you?
You can find me on YouTube as Comic Book Black Belt. I just shared a piece of art there. You can find out how that art is created over on that channel and how I put my books together, things like Only Death Can Save Us. But there's stuff there for Doctor Who, Ben 10 and Marvel as well. So you can catch me there. You can catch me at russleach.com, at comicbookblackbelt.com. You can find out more about the book, Only Death Can Save Us, at onlydeathcansaveus.com. There is a link to the book. It is currently in demand, but not for long, and then will be available wider distribution through Arrow Comics later on in the year. You can also find me on a Twitter, on the Fleecebook, and in all the normal places where social media is in effect. Come find me. I'll talk to you about comic book art.
Great. Glenn, how can folks find you?
Just Facebook. I'm just about to start building a new website because, as you know, it was hijacked a while back and is now a Japanese porn site for some reason. If that's your thing, then no, I won't even say where it is. Anyway, Facebook is probably the best place to find it.
Thank you for the tip.
You can get I do have a few short films I made on YouTube somewhere. You might be able to find those as well.
Are they porn too?
Say again?
Are they porn too?
No. I've not made it a porn site. It's hijacked. That's not me. I don't want my name associated with that sort of stuff.
Glenn Porn Fleming.
Yeah, that's the one. Nothing to do with me.
And of course, if you go up to Amazon under Glenn Fleming, Glenn with two
N's.
Sorry. Fleming with one M, you'll find a wide variety of publications that Glenn has been responsible for over the years, but especially take a look at that Comics Unlimited magazine. It's a very, very professional, very polished magazine. A lot of fun, a lot of great articles there to be read. So,
thank you, Randy.
Anytime. Barb, tell folks how they can find you.
Well, I'm the only Barbara Kaalberg on the internet. So if you Google me, you'll come up with plenty of places to find me, including Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, DeviantArt, and whatever else pops up. But I'm under all those sites under my name, Barbara Kaalberg.
And for our radio audience, that's Kaalberg, Kaalberg.
Yes.
So look for that.
It's Dutch, but somewhere along the way it got Americanized into Kaalberg.
All you got to do is cross the pond.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
On the other side of my family, their last name was De La Fosse before they got here, and then that became Del Fosse.
Yeah.
Not nearly as elegant.
My maiden name is Johnson. You can't screw that up much, but Kaalberg, yeah.
It's that one guy on Ellis Island that was hard of hearing. They went, what? No, screw that. Yeah, here you go. That's who you are.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
De La Fosse, that sounds too foreign.
There's got to be a hell of a comedy routine in that, screw ups in history kind of thing. What was? No. Your name is Jones. Here you go. Yeah. Charles, tell folks how they can find you.
Yeah, Rammer for the radio audience. RAMMUR is live on Indiegogo. And Charles Santino, spelled exactly the way it sounds. That is me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Marv says, always a pleasure to see the show. Take care, everyone, and I wish you all a great week. You too, Marvy. And he goes, what's the link, Glenn?
If I told you that,
there is.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. If I told you that, I'd have to kill you.
Welcome to America, Mr. Smith.
Mr. Corleone.
Yeah.
Varian, do you have any radio numbers?
37,700. Thank you guys for listening this Sunday morning. Appreciate it.
We love each and every one of you. Oh, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world.
Now,
And
Glenn, in your videos, do you go as Mr. Ming?
I don't understand that.
hey, he gets rid of the flea part, and this is Mr. Mean. It's all. We know it's not. We know it's not Glenn. The guy doesn't have an English accent. He doesn't have the accent. He's Australian actually.
Well,
Australian. Everybody's Australian.
Oh,
yeah, I've got relatives in Australia, but no, not me. Not been there.
And they've been there for many centuries.
About since the end of the war. Since the end of the war.
Now, if one of those videos was shot on the top of Everest, then we would like, oh, I see now. Hey, you can't find me. You can't find me anywhere online. I want to talk to you people. KYD_V on Twitter. Very good on Facebook. Check out whenweriot.com, the horribly named website that I created.
Well, you didn't know at the time when you took it out there's going to be all these problems. So.
Yeah, I didn't know.
You just thought you were being smart.
I was being cheeky. And,
at least it hasn't been taken over or anything.
Yeah. When you get a call, like, what's the purpose?
I'm still kind of shocked that they haven't taken it from you.
You know, I got calls like, what's the purpose of the website? Are you doing any type of organization for? I'm like, no, it's my art website. Is that all? Any correspondence? No. What? Hey, you guys think that I'm okay? So I didn't change my website name, and I'm not going to either. It's my personal website, whenweriot.com. Find me at lastcallcomics.com, indievolt.com, and ledg.us, distribution company on putting your independent comics in comic stores and beyond all over, especially later this year. We got some more big announcements coming, so keep your ears peeled and bow down to the greatness that is me. Those who continue to refuse my godhood will be smited. There.
Yeah, I guess I forgot to mention my websites too. When please check out silverlinecomics.com.
Yes. Sorry.
And
jump in on that.
And check out the Divinity and /Steam Patriots Kickstarter. I'm assuming that there will be a link in the comments somewhere.
Pops, can you throw that in, please? The Silver Line over on Kickstarter, Divinity 2, and what is it? Steam Patriots #1.
Steam Patriots.
Yeah.
But the link will also be on silverlinecomics.com. Great.
Silverlinecomics.com. Anything else, Varian?
No, that's it.
Are you sure?
I got more news coming. Indie Vote, check out the show Livewire Tuesday. Got some big announcements, and of course you're sharing. Let me put that up.
What?
Russell sharing his screen. I wonder if you want to put that up. He's
Yeah, I can throw it up.
I got
Here.
it.
Go ahead.
Oh.
There you are.
I wasn't sharing that. Hold on.
Go.
Full time.
It's okay. You can carry on.
You were though. It was here.
It's I just hadn't turned it off. It's it's a pantheon of gods. There you
Okay.
go.
Cool.
Or you can have a big brain. There you go.
I seen the page move and I said, "Oh, you're sharing more content." Okay, let me put that up.
No, I just hadn't turned it off.
We just
Turn it
leaked.
off now.
We just leaked.
In a couple hours, are we to expect another episode of Special Issues?
Not this week. Not this week.
Next this week.
Yeah, next
Nothing
week.
special enough.
Yeah. There's stuff I can talk about, but yeah, no.
Stuff I can talk about.
Yeah.
Okay. And hey, everybody, I've been your host, Randy Zimmerman. You can find me on Facebook under Randy Zimmerman. You can find me on Twitter under Randy Zim. You can find Arrow Comics 4.0 on most of the main social platforms. We're not on TikTok, though, thank goodness. And there is a link tree for Arrow Comics 4.0. We also very much have some special announcements coming up in the near future. There's a lot more art to be shared and a lot more things to talk about. We've got some great stuff coming out. So, and it's all going to be for the direct market through Liberty Distribution. So make sure you stay tuned for that, especially if you're a retailer. You really want to take a look at Liberty Distributors. There's a reason why they're going to be growing really fast here in the very near future. And you want to check their policies. I do believe Roland has signed Silverline up for that, hasn't he, Varian?
Yeah, Roland's in there. He's got some
Roland's in there.
Yeah.
Yay.
And all of the material that's offered at Liberty to the retailers is material that Liberty has in-house. This is no order 3 months in advance and then hope that something gets fulfilled. The stuff they're available for order is available to you as fast as the Postal Service or delivery service can get it to you. So this is instant money for exchange, especially for you retailers out there that are looking to find product to put in your shelves that folks will enjoy, that'll be entertaining. And you also don't have to take a chance on it because Liberty does have a trade back program. It's the Liberty Pledge. Go over there and take a look. A lot of the books that Liberty offers falls under that pledge. It's well worth your time to take a look at it. And as someone who has had a lot of retailing experience, this is the kind, for you retailers out there, this is the kind of distributor that you have been looking for a long, long time. And you really need to get in and get signed up and going because like I'm not alone when I tell you there's a lot of product being made out there that Liberty will be offering exclusively through them for you. So go up there and take a look and sign on and get in on this because we're hoping to make a nice change in the industry, one that's positive and one that's profitable. That's the whole key here. So go over there and take a look. So Varian and I will be back Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. for the Live Wire program. Then Wednesday night is Geekgasm. Monday night is Eric Hodson does a show called it currently is called It Came From Webtoons, but it's about digital comics. And if you enjoy digital comics, here's a program that is current. Nobody else on the web that we're aware of is currently doing a program like this that's looking at different digital comics, looking for quality stuff in order to help you find great entertaining things to look at and read online. Wednesday nights is Geekgasm by the Indie Princess and Daphne Lage and Nita and Meredith, where they talk about geekdom from a feminine, more female point of view, hopefully, most of the time, right?
Most of the time.
Most of the time. Thursday morning, Varian and I and Daphne are back for the Breakfast Buzz at 9 a.m. And all of these times are Eastern Standard Time, so adjust your clocks accordingly. Then Friday nights we have nothing.
Yeah, we try to sleep on Friday nights.
We try to sleep on Fridays. Saturday at 2:30 though, Brandon comes on and does the unique program about Kickstarter pitches called Pitches Be Crazy. So and it's just an hour of absolute fun, mostly hilarity. A lot of people pitching their books in very unique and unusual ways. The most successful out of all of them will be personally backed up to $50 by the Indie Volt Radio Network. So you,
Yeah.
you want to tune in for that program. It's been a lot of fun and a lot of laughs. So
Ka-ching.
Yeah, it's very expensive to me too. Very expensive. Having to back those books. A quick look for anybody who wants to screenshot this too. By the way, there's the schedule right there.
Nice.
So anybody who wants to check that out, you can find it right there.
Friday Art of War used to be a group of artists getting together to draw. We are hoping to bring that program back again soon.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, we'll be back Sunday morning, next Sunday morning, hopefully, if I can stay healthy. Last Sunday I wasn't, but this Sunday I am, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for another episode of Sunday Funnies.
Yeah.
Where we talk about the more lighter and fun side of comics, hopefully. And we hope you've enjoyed yourself today. We want to thank everybody for coming in and showing us your works, and looking forward to talking to you again as your campaigns roll along or as more things happen. Glenn, when's your next Comics Unlimited coming out?
It's out now. It's just came out last week.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
You probably said that. I just didn't catch it.
I did, yeah.
All right. So on Amazon.
And Charles is going to be in number 7 in July. He doesn't know it yet, but he will be doing, because he sent me his stuff and I've got to get him in. So
there you go.
Also, next week we'll be doing some special tie-ins with CrimeCon too. So don't forget
okay,
yeah.
Cool.
That's it.
CrimeCon next weekend. All right, folks, we're going out the same way we came in with our opening, and we deeply appreciate everyone listening. We wish you all the best. Any last words, anyone?
No.
Nice to see you, folks.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Take care, everyone.
Yep.
Stay
Tanya.
See ya.
You were saying, Varian?
No, I didn't say anything.
As we say here on the Indie Volt Radio Network, please, everyone, leave this industry better than the way that you found it. And as we go out the door, we wish you all the best, and we will see you soon. Take care.
Accomplished.
You knew the job was dangerous when you took it, Fred.
Do you draw the Flintstones naked? There's a mark